As a seasoned police chief of Silver Ridge County with 20 years of navigating crime's highs and lows, my lakeside cabin in Pine Valley Estates was my sacred escape, a sanctuary carved out after a grueling divorce 3 years ago, where the gentle lapping of Crystal Lake and the whisper of towering pines melted away the stress of commanding a department. Tucked on the community's secluded edge, my cabin offered solitude, perfect for fishing, reading, or simply soaking in the tranquility. To neighbors, I was just Dan, the unassuming guy who kept his trash cans in check and his life private. But beneath this quiet exterior lay a ticking time bomb, Brenda Fitzgerald, the HOA iron-fisted president whose obsession with control was about to spark a showdown that would shake the entire gated enclave of Pine Valley to its core. Before we plunge into this electrifying saga of entitlement and retribution, hit pause and drop a comment with the country you rewatching from. Let's see how far this tale of lakeside justice ripples across the globe. The storm erupted on a balmy Friday afternoon, when I swung open my cabin door to a surreal sight, a 17-year-old kid, mirrored sunglasses perched arrogantly despite the porch's shade, clutching a Bluetooth speaker, blaring bass, and a six-pack of White Claw like he owned the place. His gravity-defying man bun and vape pen tucked behind his ears screamed unchecked privilege. "Yo, you gotta bounce," he declared, adjusting his shades with a smirk that oozed consequence-free confidence. "Mom says I'm taking this cabin for my graduation rager. You've hogged it long enough." I froze, certain I'd misheard, my pulse quickening as I processed the audacity. "You're serious?" I asked, voice low but laced with disbelief. His grin widened, flashing dazzlingly whitened teeth. "Dead serious, dude. Should have sped to the HOA party list. My turn now." He gestured vaguely at the surrounding woods, as if claiming dominion over nature itself. "Mom's Brenda Fitzgerald at OA Press. She runs this joint. Be gone by 6, DJ setting up." My mind raced, the absurdity sinking in. This kid, Tyler, thought he could commandeer my private property for a blowout. I leaned against the doorframe, studying his smug demeanor, and replied calmly, "Big mistake, kid." Little did he know I wasn't just Dan the cabin owner, I was Chief Daniel Morrison. And in 30 minutes, his party plans would crash under a tsunami of sirens, canines south, and a boat patrol. But let's rewind to see how this powder keg was primed, each moment tightening the suspense like a coiled spring. Pine Valley Estates, with its manicured lawns and rigid rules dictating everything from mailbox hues to bird feeder brands, had always been a tightly controlled enclave, and Brenda was its self-crowned queen. She wielded her HOA authority like a scepter, issuing violation notices for overly melodious wind chimes or grass blades a fraction too long, her reputation as a micromanaging menace preceding her. I'd flown under her radar, my cabin's remote location keeping me off her hit list until Tyler, paddleboarding with his posse, spotted my lakeside retreat and deemed it the ultimate venue for his senior send-off. Brenda, ever the enabler, endorsed his scheme, cloaking it in a fabricated community property utilization policy. The campaign began subtly 2 weeks earlier with an email from Brenda inquiring if I was done enjoying my cabin for the season, suggesting I share its lakefront blessing with the community's youth. I declined politely, clarifying I used the cabin year-round, expecting that to end it. But Brenda doubled down, her next email unveiling a supposed community cabin rotation policy requiring lakefront owners to surrender their homes for HOA-sanctioned events, accompanied by a shoddily designed document that screamed amateur fraud. Ignoring it seemed wise, but that was my misstep, underestimating Brenda's persistence and the lengths she'd go to flex her power. The escalation intensified the following week when a formal-looking letter arrived on HOA letterhead the following week when a formal-looking letter arrived on HOA letterhead, proclaiming my cabin selected for a youth appreciation weekend, with Tyler's graduation bash as the flagship event, signed by Brenda and 2 unknown board members. My blood simmered, but I responded with a measured email citing clear property law. My cabin was private, not a HOA playground. I thought I'd drawn a line in the sand. Instead, Tyler began prowling my property when I was away, my trail cameras capturing him snapping selfies on my dock, posing with my kayak, and even attempting to pry open my shed's lock. His social media posts captioned "Scouting the venue and this place is gonna be lit" flaunted his brazenness, each image fueling my growing unease. The night before the confrontation, Brenda called, her voice dripping with faux sweetness that barely masked her threat. "Dan, you're being so unreasonable," she cooed. The kids deserve to celebrate. Surely you remember being young? My grip tightened on the phone. I remember respecting private property. I shot back, struggling to keep my cool. She sighed theatrically. I tried the nice way, but the HOA holds broad powers for community wellness. Don't force my hand. Is that a threat, Brenda? I asked, my chief's instincts kicking in. Just a reminder of your obligations, she snapped, hanging up abruptly. The call left a chill. Brenda wasn't bluffing, and the stakes were climbing fast. What was she planning next? That Friday, a gut feeling prompted me to take a half day off to check on my cabin, and thank God I did. Pulling up, my heart sank. My gate hung open, its lock crudely severed, and tacky plastic tiki torches were jabbed haphazardly into my lawn like a low-budget festival. Inside was a nightmare. Tyler and his crew had turned my sanctuary into a frat house. Neon lights dangled from the ceiling, a beer pong table defiled my living room, and glow sticks were taped to my prized mounted bass, a cherished catch from my father in 1987. Red Solo cups littered my kitchen, alongside chip bags and enough alcohol to stock a dive bar. Worst of all, Tyler started around wearing my grandfather's lucky fishing hat, oblivious to the violation. When he demanded I vacate my cabin, I stepped onto the porch, phone in hand, and dialed my deputy. Richardson, it's Morrison. Send units to my cabin at Pine Valley B&E in progress. Underage drinking, possible theft. Full response. Loki, Chief? He asked. I glanced at Tyler, now filming a TikTok dance on my deck. Negative. Light it up. The stage was set, the tension electric. What would happen when the law descended on this teenage takeover? 20 minutes later, the serene woods exploded with a cacophony of sirens. Red and blue lights slicing through the dusk as 8 squad cars roared down the lake road, joined by 2 snarling canine units and a boat patrol skimming across Crystal Lake. The music screeched to a halt, and Tyler's entourage scattered like startled wildlife, diving behind bushes or sprinting toward the trees. Tyler bolted but tripped over his flip-flops, his bravado crumbling as he scrambled into my canoe, only to drift helplessly into the lake center, where Officer Martinez awaited in the patrol boat. I want my mom, he wailed, soaked and shivering, his sunglasses lost to the water. Don't worry, kid, Martinez replied with a grin. We're ringing her now. Brenda screeched into the scene minutes later in her white Range Rover, horn blaring, demanding officers clear the path. She stormed out in yoga pants and a live, laugh, love tee, face crimson with fury. What is the meaning of this outrage? She shrieked, jabbing a finger at the nearest officer. This is an HOA-sanctioned event. Leave at once. I emerged from behind a squad car, now in my chief's uniform, kept in the cabin for just such emergencies. Brenda's rage froze, her face draining to an ashen white as realization hit. You said you worked for the county, she sputtered. I do, I replied coolly, badge gleaming. I just didn't mention I'm the chief. Her voice cracked. This is entrapment. You hid your identity. I held up my phone, displaying Tyler's incriminating posts. Unlike your son, who broadcasted his break-in online, complete with location tags. The crowd of neighbors gasped, the plot thickening. How would Brenda wriggle out of this? Officer Chan approached, Tyler in cuffs, his man bun sagging pitifully. Mom, tell them about the community property rule, he pleaded. Brenda rallied weakly. The HOA has IMSA lakefront properties for community use. I countered, scrolling through my phone. Funny, the bylaws mention respecting private property, not seizing it. No easement exists. Lieutenant Walker joined, holding a confiscated spreadsheet. Chief, the kid was charging cover for this party plan to rake in thousands. We've got enough alcohol here for 100 minors. That's entrepreneurship, Brenda protested desperately. That's contributing to the delinquency of minors, I corrected sharply. And since you orchestrated it with threats, you're an accessory. Her eyes widened in panic. I want a lawyer. Smart move, I said, gesturing to the glow stick-laden base. You'll need one for the criminal charges and my civil suit for property damage. That fish was my father's pride. The neighbors murmured, one whispering, Brenda's gone too far this time. The noose was tightening. Could she talk her way out, or was her rein unraveling? If this tale of a Joe, arrogance, and lakeside justice has you hooked, smash that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more epic karma showdowns, because Brenda's downfall was just beginning, and the community was about to deliver the final blow. By Saturday morning, an emergency HOA meeting was convened at the community center, packed to the rafters with residents eager for answers. Brenda sat at the board table, flanked by her two cronies, who now avoided eye contact, their phones suddenly fascinating. "I call this meeting to order," she mumbled, her usual commanding air deflated. Robert Jameson, a retired attorney, stood swiftly. "Motion to discuss the president's criminal activities," Brenda bristled. "That's not how this works." Robert held up the bylaws. Section 12.4. Any board member facing charges steps down pending resolution. "Care to explain, Brenda?" I rose, flash drive in hand. Perhaps the board would like my security footage of Tyler breaking in, or Brenda's text threatening to misuse HOA powers. The room erupted, neighbors unloading their own grievances. Brenda's fines for wrong curtain shades. Her ban on bird feeders for attracting undesirable wildlife. Motion to oust Brenda as president. A voice shouted, seconded by a chorus. The vote was a landslide, her allies abandoning her to save face. Brenda leapt up, toppling her chair. "You can't do this." "I've run this place for 5 years." Robert's voice was icy. "What we need is leadership that respects the law, not abuses it." Brenda stormed out, slamming the door so hard the welcome sign crashed to the floor, the sound echoing like her collapsing empire. But was this the end, or did more secrets lurk? The aftermath was seismic. Tyler pleaded guilty to misdemeanors, breaking and entering, trespassing, underage drinking, and theft of my grandfather's hat, recovered from the lake's muddy bottom. He got 6 months probation, 100 hours of community service, and a $2,000 restitution order, plus a judge-mandated 5-page essay on property rights. Brenda faced graver consequences. Her role in enabling the trespass and delinquency stuck, earning her hefty fines and mandatory parenting classes. Neighbors piled on with civil suits over her abuses uncovered during my case's investigation. A forensic audit of HOA funds revealed the bombshell. Brenda had siphoned $47,000 over 3 years, masking personal spa retreats as community vision boards. Embezzlement charges, a Class D felony, followed, carrying up to 5 years. At her arraignment, she claimed it was a misunderstanding, but the judge wasn't buying it. "Mrs. Fitzgerald, $47,000 isn't a clerical error, it's a pattern of theft." Released on bail, her life unraveled. Her Range Rover repossessed, her house listed, her real estate license suspended, and Tyler forced into public school. I glimpsed her once at the grocery store, a shadow of her former self in sweatpants, no trace of her polished facade. "I hope you're happy," she muttered bitterly. "You ruined me over a party." "No, Brenda," I replied evenly, "your choices did that." "I just held the line." She deflated, whispering, 5 years. "My lawyer says 5 years," before turning away. Pity flickered, but the memory of her $47,000 theft, her harassment of neighbors, and her attempt to steal my sanctuary snuffed it out. Last month, Brenda's trial wrapped. Convicted of embezzlement, she was sentenced to 3 years, with 2 suspended, serving 1 year in state prison, followed by 5 years probation and full restitution to the HOA Tyler watched. Subdued as his mother was led away in cuffs, the weight of consequences finally sinking in. He now works at a hardware store, paying off his debt, his entitled swagger gone. My cabin's peace is restored, fortified with upgraded locks and cameras, while the new HOA board prioritizes genuine community growth over power plays. Even offering to cover my damages from recovered funds, I declined, content with Tyler's payment and my reclaimed solitude. Sitting on my dock, fishing rod in hand, I reflect on how close Brenda came to bulldozing my haven. Her refusal to respect no landed her in a 6x8 cell where her former HOA crown means nothing. Her tears at sentencing were her final act, proof that when you push a police chief too far, you don't just lose. You face the full force of justice.